Let me ask you something that most financial advisors are too polite to bring up directly. What happens if you turn 50, look at your financial situation, and realize there's nothing there? No questions nunca. No IRA, no pension waiting for you. Just a number on a birthday cake and a quiet panic that most people carry alone. If that's you right now, or if you know someone in that position, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because this video could genuinely change the trajectory of the next 15 to 20 years of your life. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Starting at 50 is not the same as starting too late. The rules of the game actually shift in your favor once you hit that milestone. The IRS opens up special provisions designed exactly for people who are behind. The tax code rewards you for catching up. And if you know where to put your money first, second, and third, you can build a real, livable retirement in less time than most people think. We're going to walk through all of it today, step by step. No jargon, no generic advice, no just invest in the market platitudes. Specific vehicles, specific contribution limits, specific strategies, built for someone starting from zero at 50. Let's get into it. Before we go any further, if this kind of content is useful to you, do me a quick favor, hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells the algorithm to keep putting this kind of practical, no-fluff financial content in front of people who actually need it. And if you know someone in this exact situation, a friend, a sibling, a coworker, share this video with them. It might be the most valuable thing you send them this year. Now let's talk strategy. First, let's remove the emotional weight from this conversation and treat it like a logistics problem, because that's what it is. At 50 with no retirement savings, you have, in most realistic scenarios, somewhere between 15 and 20 working years ahead of you before a traditional retirement age. That is not nothing. In fact, if you invest aggressively and strategically during that window, the math can work in your favor in ways that might surprise you. Here's a hypothetical example, not a guarantee, just an illustration of how compounding works. If you're 50 today and you contribute $1,000 per month into a tax-advantaged account earning an average of 7% annually, a figure based on long-term historical S&P 500 averages, net of inflation, though past performance never guarantees future results, you would accumulate approximately $243,000 by age 65. Increase that to $2,000 per month, and you're looking at closer to $487,000. These are hypothetical projections, not guaranteed returns, but the principle holds. Forward motion is always better than paralysis, and the numbers are not as hopeless as they feel at 2 a.m. when you're running the math in your head. But before you move a single dollar, you need to do 3 things. First, assess your actual monthly cash flow. What comes in, what goes out, and what is the realistic gap you have available to redirect toward retirement savings? Be honest. This is your baseline. Second, eliminate any high-interest consumer debt. Credit card balances at 20 to 24% APR are mathematically incompatible with building wealth. Any return you earn on investments is being erased by the interest you're paying. Before funding retirement accounts, those balances need to go. Third, build a lean emergency fund. 3 months of essential expenses in a high-yield savings account. This protects you from raiding your investments the moment life happens, and life always happens. Once those 3 things are in order, you are ready to start deploying capital into actual retirement vehicles. And this is where it gets genuinely interesting. Here's something most people don't know. At age 50, the IRS literally gives you permission to save more money than a 30-year-old. It's called the catch-up contribution provision, and it is one of the most underutilized tools in personal finance. Let me explain exactly how it works. Step 1, the Traditional IRA or Roth IRA. Start here. Even without access to an employer-sponsored plan, you can open an individual retirement account today. The IRS allows individuals under 50 to contribute $7,000 per year to an IRA. But once you turn 50, that limit increases to $8,000 per year thanks to the catch-up provision. Make sure to verify the current limits at irs.gov before contributing, as these figures are adjusted periodically for inflation. Now the critical decision, Traditional IRA or Roth IRA. A Traditional IRA gives you a tax deduction today. The money goes in pre-tax, it grows tax-deferred, and you pay ordinary income tax on withdrawals in retirement. This makes sense if you believe you'll be in a lower tax bracket when you retire than you are now. A Roth IRA flips that equation. You contribute after-tax dollars today, but all growth and withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. Many people in this situation find that the Roth works better for them, particularly if they expect tax rates to rise over time, or if they want maximum flexibility in retirement, since Roth IRAs have no required minimum distributions. But the right choice ultimately depends on your individual tax situation. Income limits matter here. The Roth IRA phases out for single filers starting at certain income thresholds and is fully phased out above them. For married filing jointly, the range is different. Check irs.gov for the exact current numbers in your filing year. If your income exceeds those thresholds, there's a legal workaround called the backdoor Roth IRA. contributing to a traditional IRA and then immediately converting it to a Roth. This strategy is perfectly legal and widely used by high earners. Step 2. The solo 401k, if you have any self-employment income. This is the most powerful account most people have never heard of, and it is specifically suited for self-employed individuals, freelancers, gig workers, and small business owners with no full-time employees. A solo 401k allows you to contribute a substantial amount per year, and once you're 50, the catch-up provision pushes that ceiling even higher. Again, verify the exact current limits at irs.gov as these figures change annually. But what makes this account remarkable is the structure. As both the employer and the employee, you can contribute in two capacities simultaneously, which stacks to create one of the highest annual savings limits of any retirement vehicle available to an individual. Even modest self-employment income can unlock this account. If you drive for a rideshare platform on weekends, sell products online, consult in your field, or do any freelance work at all, you may qualify. The account must be opened at a brokerage before December 31st of the tax year in which you want to make contributions. Step 3, the SEP-IRA, a simpler alternative for the self-employed. If the solo 401k feels administratively complex, the simplified employee pension IRA is a cleaner alternative. As a self-employed individual, you can contribute up to 25% of your net self-employment income, up to the annual IRS maximum. The SEP-IRA does not have a catch-up contribution provision for those over 50, which is why the solo 401k tends to win for older savers with the income to maximize both. But if you want simplicity and have consistent self-employment income, the SEP-IRA is an excellent vehicle. Step 4, the taxable brokerage account for money beyond the limits. Once you've maximized every tax-advantaged account available to you, a standard taxable brokerage account is the next stop. There are no contribution limits. The money grows and can be withdrawn at any time without penalty. You simply owe capital gains tax on the profits. For someone starting at 50 with a high savings capacity, this account often becomes the bridge funding early retirement before age 59 and a half, when tax-advantaged accounts begin distributing without penalty. If you're finding this useful, subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video. We publish content like this consistently, and the algorithm rewards channels when viewers engage. You'll help us reach more people who are in the same boat and need this information. Now back to strategy. Opening the accounts is step 1. What you put inside them is step 2, and this is where a lot of people make expensive mistakes. At 50, you cannot afford a hyper-conservative portfolio. This is counterintuitive to many people who assume that being closer to retirement means loading up on bonds and money market funds. The problem is that with 15 years of runway, an overly conservative portfolio may not grow fast enough to compensate for lost time. A reasonable starting framework for someone at 50 with no existing savings is roughly 70 to 80% in equities and 20 to 30% in fixed income. Within the equity allocation, prioritize broad market index funds, specifically a total U.S. market fund, an S&P 500 index fund, and optionally some international exposure. These funds offer maximum diversification at the lowest possible cost. Expense ratios matter enormously over time. A fund charging 0.03% annually versus one charging 1% annually can mean a difference of tens of thousands of dollars compounded over 15 years. Target date funds are a legitimate option for someone who wants a set it and adjust approach. A target date 2040 fund, for example, automatically rebalances from aggressive to conservative as you approach your projected retirement date. They're not perfect. The expense ratios are sometimes higher than building your own allocation, but they eliminate behavioral errors and decision fatigue. What to avoid? Individual stocks as a primary strategy, actively managed funds with high fees, speculative assets as a core holding, and any financial product you don't fully understand before signing. And a word on Social Security, because it's a significant component of your retirement income plan that often gets overlooked in these conversations. You can claim as early as 62, but each year you delay increases your benefit by approximately 8% per year up to age 70. For someone with limited personal savings, maximizing Social Security by delaying is one of the most reliable strategies available. It doesn't require investment skill. It just requires patience. Here's the reality. Strategy is only as powerful as the capital you're feeding into it. If your current income structure doesn't allow you to save $1,500 to $2,000 or more per month, you have two levers: reduce expenses and increase income. On the expense side, this is not about deprivation. It's about ruthless prioritization for a defined period of time. Housing, transportation, and food make up the majority of most American households' budgets. Reducing any of these meaningfully, downsizing, refinancing, eliminating a car payment, can free up hundreds of dollars monthly that go directly into your retirement accounts. On the income side, your 50s are often your highest earning years professionally. If you're not maximizing your income potential in your current role, this is the decade to do it. Negotiate raises. Develop adjacent skills. Consider whether a lateral move to a higher-paying employer is on the table. Beyond your primary income, income-producing side activities can dramatically accelerate your timeline. Consulting in your area of expertise, tutoring, part-time work, or monetizing a skill set you already have can generate $500 to $500 per month in additional cash flow, every dollar of which can flow directly into tax-advantaged accounts. This is also the moment to have a serious conversation about downsizing your lifestyle. Not permanently, not forever, but for 10 to 15 years of focused, intentional saving, living below your means is not a punishment, it's a strategy. The people who retire comfortably are almost never the ones who had the highest incomes. They're the ones who consistently put a gap between income and spending and invested the difference. The last thing I want to address is something that rarely comes up in financial content but matters enormously. How you think about this situation will determine whether you act on it or don't. Comparison is the enemy of progress here. Looking at what your peers have saved, or what financial media tells you the average 50-year-old has accumulated, will either paralyze you with shame or give you a false sense of comfort. Neither is useful. Your only job is to play your own game. Define what retirement looks like for you specifically. Not the retirement from a Fidelity commercial. Your retirement, the real version built on your actual numbers, your actual expenses, your actual life. A retirement that requires $3,500 per month is a fundamentally different planning problem than one that requires $7,000 per month. The lower that number, the more achievable your goal becomes, and the more flexibility you have in how quickly you get there. For some people watching this, the most powerful financial move at 50 is also the most overlooked one, relocating to a lower cost of living area upon retirement. States with no income tax, Florida, Texas, Nevada, Tennessee, among others, can dramatically reduce the amount you need to withdraw annually to sustain the same standard of living. That difference, compounded over retirement that could last 25 to 30 years, is not marginal. It's transformational. If you've made it this far, you're clearly serious about changing your financial trajectory, and that matters more than where you're starting from. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. We're building a community of people who are taking their financial futures seriously, and every share helps us reach more of them. Let me bring this all together. If you're 50 with no 401k and no IRA, here's exactly where to start. 1. Clean up your financial foundation. Pay off high-interest debt. Build 3 months of emergency savings. 2. Open a Roth IRA or Traditional IRA immediately. Contribute the maximum allowed for your age, and verify the current limit at irs.gov. 3. If you have any self-employment income, open a solo 401k. It is the most powerful savings vehicle available to you. 4. Invest inside those accounts in low-cost diversified index funds. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Starting is more important than optimizing. 5. Maximize your income and minimize your spending for a defined period. Treat it like a sprint, not a lifestyle sentence. 6. Think strategically about Social Security. Every year you delay between 62 and 70 locks and a permanent increase in your monthly benefit. 7. Design a retirement that fits your numbers, not someone else's. The goal is sufficiency, not comparison. Starting at 50 is not a financial death sentence. It is a starting line. The people who regret their 60s and 70s are not the ones who started late. They're the ones who started late and did nothing about it. You are not in that group. You're here. You're asking the right questions, and that is exactly where change begins. I'll see you in the next one.